Okay, welcome to another episode of the Casually Serious podcast with Fazil and Abhinav. And today we have with us a very special guest, a very close friend of Fazil, and Kamya Shah. Fazil, what about her?
Kamya was one of the first friends that I met when I went to my college. I think Swati was the other friend who came with me from school. And through Swati, I got to know Kamya because Kamya was Swati's roommate. And then there was a little small group. That was a fun little group. Then in the group added was Ankur. I remember Priya was there. There was the extended group eventually. But this was the main 4-5 of us. We used to hang out every weekend. Maybe even in the middle of the week sometimes. Okay? And then I remember we started our friendship having late night talks. At least the three of us, at least me, Kamya and Swati. We used to sit in the lounge of our dorms and dorm rooms and all. And then we used to chat, and then we used to simply talk until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Very deep conversation talks. And that is also one of the ideas I derived from there, and we brought it into the podcast. So it's very meaningful to me that Kamya is here. And over to you, Kamya. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Kamya. I'm glad to be here, but yes, pretty much that's it.
Were you about to say, I'm glad to be here, but I'm sad to be here?
No, I wish I said that. No, I was going to say that it's so meaningful to you. Don't mess this up. Mess it up
Yes, no,
anyway.
we won't mess it up.
Yeah.
Noted. Okay, so there's a lot I got to know from the little time you spent. Of course, lockdown happened, and then there was very minimal conversation after that. But from what I learned from you, you said that you came from India to Dubai. You were not born and raised in Dubai. So when was it exactly that you came from India to Dubai?
So I'm born and brought up in Bombay.
Sure.
I came to Dubai in 2012, 2013. So basically when we were in 6th grade. Currently I'm going to junior year of college.
Right. But you're originally from Gujarat, right?
Okay. So now that also is a different thing. So I'm a Gujarati, born to Gujarati parents. My dad is born and brought up and raised in Bombay. My mom's born, brought up. She's a doctor, so she studied medicine in Gujarat. So she is like your typical Ahmedabadi Gujarati.
Okay.
And she then moved to Bombay after marriage. And then I was there, and I was born and brought up in Bombay. But every year I do go to Gujarat, except right now because of pandemic.
Right.
So basically, like us, like, but
Yeah.
we, like us, like our own life, and her, it's the same thing for her as well. So, but but there are a lot of Gujaratis in Bombay, so it's consistent with, so it's chill.
Right. And where are you studying right now?
Right now I'm studying in Buffalo in US.
Yeah.
What is it that you're studying? I think a lot.
Yeah, that is.
Curious about that. Yeah.
So my major is biological sciences, but I'm on the pre-med track.
Yeah.
Pre-med track. So
I don't know if the audience can see this, but we already
Yeah.
considered her as a medical student, and maybe that's how we will address her throughout the podcast.
But as I will speak on in the rest of
from
the
what we
podcast,
understand, you're gonna.
there's a difference between what is a medical student and what is a pre-medical student, especially in the US. While that difference is not there in India or in UK, but in US it's like significant.
Sure. Yeah, we'll come to that. We'll definitely talk about that difference now that you pull that up. But yeah, you were saying about how you came from India to Dubai, and which grade did you come early in Dubai, or was it before school life, or did you come during the school life or something? How was it?
During the school life, I mentioned in 6th grade. In 6th grade, yeah.
And how
like
was the
beginning or end of term, in like the middle of the term? And my school curriculums, I was in an ICSE school in India, which is a type of Indian board, to another type of Indian board, but it's different, to a CBSE board.
Right. And then there'll be like a two type of question here. Then first is like, how was the transition from you coming from Mumbai or Bombay or Mumbai to Dubai, and your shift from ICSE board to CBSE board? because me and Abhinav, we personally are CBSE board students,
Yeah.
and we never heard anything from ICSE board. How is it for them? How is it harder?
The ICSE just virtually never existed in Oman. It just never
Right,
existed.
right.
So, like,
Yes. Please give us some insights.
Okay, so basically, when I was in Bombay, there's another shift here. So when I was in Bombay, my second language in school was Gujarati because my parents preferred that. Why not? So main mode of instruction was English. Second
uh-huh.
language I was taught from like the first to sixth grade is Gujarati,
Mhm.
and I spoke to my friends in Hindi because everybody spoke in Hindi. Not even in English. We would sing English songs, but like we would still talk in Hindi,
Okay.
right?
Right, right.
And when I moved to Dubai, everybody here speaks English. And
Huh.
I'm just like, I know English, but I'm not fluent in English, or I speak English, but not preferably.
Right.
Given a choice, no, you wouldn't have spoken in English, right? I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, given a choice, no. And then after knowing 6 years of Gujarati, like till sixth grade basic education in Gujarati, I shifted from sixth grade Gujarati to directly to sixth grade Hindi.
Huh.
Oh.
Because I knew the spoken Hindi. I didn't know the written Hindi, but like considering I knew the written Gujarati, it would be similar enough,
Right.
right?
Huh.
Assuming.
Yes.
But it's okay. I got along well because
Huh.
I know the rules and how to speak and everything else. But nobody here spoke Hindi. I had to get myself fluent in English to converse here.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
I think a follow-up question would be like, see, there is there's a certain pace with which Bombay flows. The pace in Bombay life is pretty quick,
Yes.
and I think from my travels to Dubai and the couple of times that I've been to Dubai, I know how much more quick Dubai is. So how would you kind of compare these two cultures altogether now? And like, yeah, how would you compare these
Personally,
two?
according to me, I would say Bombay life is more rush, only because the population is more there and it's
Right.
Correct.
pretty cramped up. So you would see every morning people rushing, going to their work. Even here, there's traffic. Traffic's everywhere. But the rush to be somewhere was more in Bombay than there was here.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like everyone in Bombay is like very collected and they know their shit kind of thing. Like they know how to. They just kind of it just kind of feels like they're very collected with themselves.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it feels like that versus what actually reality.
Acha.
You know, when some people think you're just at your best stage, you're feeling yourself, but you are like having internal a breakdown inside you. It probably is that. We can't say that for sure.
Nice. Okay.
Correct.
So, but for me, right, personally, when I went to Dubai, when we saw the traffic and all, we were like, "Bhai, this is to matlab आज शाम को निकले तो सुबह पहुंचेंगे." We had to plan it that way in Dubai. But I'm thinking for you, it wouldn't have been a difference. Yeah, तो भाई यहाँ तो better है. That would for you that might have been the yeah.
I would consider my life here better, but there are a lot of biases playing into that factor. So,
Acha.
because my teenage years were my
Mm-hmm.
childhood was in Bombay, so there will always be the fondness. So let me just say I'm biased towards both of them. So
Okay.
if I say I prefer this, it's probably because there's a bias that's playing into it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. But now that you told us a little bit about your transition coming to Dubai, there's one very important question, important to me, important to a lot of friends who are there in US in UB with me, and they feel like the people who are living there in Dubai are having the best time of their lives because they compare the residents of in Dubai with the tourists who come and visit Dubai, right? So how would you like to compare the Dubai residential life to Dubai tourist life? And what are the perks and disadvantages, everything in the middle?
Fun fact: before I actually moved to Dubai, my dad was already here for a year, right?
Right.
So I've had a tourist life, first new tourist life as well.
Huh.
And exactly after that, like a few months after that, I started with the residential life. Though I was
Uh-huh.
quite young, but now I can easily tell the difference between both of them.
Yeah.
So I'll start with, we don't live in hotels. We don't have fancy houses. We have regular 2 BHK or even 1 BHK small house with like surrounded by colonies of Indians. But it highly depends on where you live.
Right.
But it's mostly around Indians.
Right. What is the largest demographic? The Indians after the
Indians, Filipinos, Arabics, Pakistanis.
right. Okay.
It's like the main big four.
Okay. So because this is how people there in US or people who don't know about Dubai, this is how they think. They feel like there's an observation deck for every resident there at the top. People just go 70, 80 floors above, and that's where they start living. They don't like only anything that's below 80 floors. Nothing, there's nothing considered below 80 floors or something like that.
I live on the first floor. A year ago, I used to live on the ground floor. There is a
Right.
ground floor.
Right. Acha,
Yeah.
tell me some fun things or like things that you really liked about living in Dubai as a resident that maybe a tourist cannot see, or maybe someone coming from outside cannot see.
The best part about being a resident in Dubai, which I think what everybody assumes our everyday life to be, is that all the tourist destinations are like close by, and that's, you always have something to do whenever
Right.
you're bored. There are like so many different malls with like a different theme or a different activity there to
Right.
go there.
Yeah.
There's a mall with snow inside and penguins there, but not that I would every time go there for the snow and penguins. I don't have that much money to go every time to go, oh, I feel like snow, I'm gonna go see penguins today. No, that's not what I do for a living.
Right. So so I can say, yeah, that was very. I can say
I like
that.
how she's so passionate about it. She's like, नहीं भाई ऐसा होता ही नहीं इधर दुबई में.
Yeah.
So very close. No, I don't go to malls every day. The last time I've been to a mall was only because there was like a 3-day sale. Okay, the 3-day sales in Dubai are pretty good though. Dubai is like a shopaholic heaven. A lot of people say that because sales here on like some brands are massive. I have noticed a difference between Dubai and US. In US, some brands are more expensive, but like some brands are extremely cheap. And in
Mhm.
Dubai,
Oh.
those expensive brands are cheap, and the cheap brands are expensive here. So
Oh.
Yeah, this is actually
the
pretty
best,
indicative with the electronics in Dubai. It's
yeah,
weird
we
how
have an
everything is so
electronic
cheap.
sale.
Yeah.
We have an
Yeah.
Like,
electronic sale called Jitex, and that happens yearly. And it was so popular, it started happening twice in a year now.
Damn.
Yeah.
Right.
If you buy a laptop, you would get free accessories with it. Accessories such as headphones, keyboard, cover, bag, hard disk, and these are just like some I can name on top of my head.
Yeah, but Acha, tell me something. Tell me something. Have you been to all theme parks in Dubai, or is it something? Is it something that there are few things I still have to explore living as a resident? Because I'm sure there might be something I feel like.
Okay, so one really toxic thing about Dubai is they are so passionate about the. Okay, so Dubai's main income is tourism. It's not a hidden thing. Like yes, it's obvious. Like Dubai attracts tourists by building like the
Mhm.
biggest, the tallest, the biggest indoor theme park, the biggest indoor aquarium, the tallest building in the world.
Right.
Yeah, they attract people by that. So there's always something new which has opened, which is upcoming, which is popular, which is like a place where everybody goes to because it's new. There are so many things I haven't done yet because it's pretty new.
correct.
Right.
If you want, I could name a few, but I don't know if you want to hear or look up those things.
Huh.
It wouldn't be relevant because there are just so many things, right?
Yeah,
So
There
there
are
it'll be
is.
like,
yes.
I read this one article, and the article mentioned that if you go to all restaurants daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in Dubai, or in I guess it's in UAE, and if you go to all like so
okay.
they say that if you go to all restaurants in Dubai for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it will take you 1 year to come back to the same restaurant. It seems
I don't find that surprising at all.
By the time new restaurants will pop up, it'll take another 1.5 years to actually wonder, oh, we are back in the same restaurant.
Easily. Fun fact: I live in an area in Dubai called Karama, and it's like filled with restaurants. Okay, so I have an uncle who is like pretty well-to-do in India. Right, he just came here to live because COVID situation in India not the best.
right.
Yeah, so he just came here to live for a bit, and he is every time coming to. He lives in downtown, and like he just moved to a very fancy area of Dubai. Fancy area is basically where all the non-Indians live, I would say. Yeah,
Acha.
and like some pretty well-to-do Indians live. So he always comes to Karama to eat because he is a foodie.
Right.
That's why Karama is that popular for food and restaurants. So like if you see the traffic outside my window or like in my area, it's jam-packed on Fridays and Saturdays, which are the weekends here because it's a Middle Eastern country. Fridays and Saturdays are the weekends here. So from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., the roads are jam-packed and all the restaurants are full. You might have to wait outside for like 15 to 30 minutes because it's that full. I have seen cars from Saudi Arabia, Oman, in Karama on Fridays.
Just for the food.
It's
Right.
possible. It's possible.
But because this,
on normal days I don't see cars from Saudi and Oman here, but on Fridays and Saturdays I do, and there are restaurants around. What's the best assumption?
right.
If you're lucky, you'll even find a Kuwaiti car. What is some
It's probably
Bahraini car also you'll find like.
highly possible.
Acha, but it's okay. So now that we discovered that there's so many things to do in Dubai, that even you have to explore some bit of it. What is the next big thing that you would want to do? Like that, this is the next thing on my list that I would like to do here.
Ooh, this
It'll get
project
updated every day. It'll get updated every month.
Does it get updated?
Okay, so this project has not even been completed yet.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
it's an
The bucket list keeps getting updated every month.
It's probably a tank by now.
Coming back to Dubai. I had relatives who came here in like 2000 and let's say 16, and
Right.
I'm like calling them again because it's so much different. There are so many new things. You have not seen so many things. I could give you a full 6-day itinerary of the things you haven't seen, and they have done all the big stuff. They have
Acha.
been to Dubai, they have gone to Miracle Garden, Global Village, Burj Khalifa. They have done all the basic stuff. But I'm like, I can still make you a 6-day itinerary, morning and evening things to do that you haven't done yet. Because
Right.
from 4 years, it's that much. There is still more.
I'm like one observation I'm reminded of is like I've been to Dubai when the tallest building was still being built. Okay. And and I visited once again, like I think 3 years later, and then it was built. And then another 3 years later again I went, and then I'm like, hey, thoda, like everything's changed all of a sudden. I'm like, it's like every
The
time it
tallest
just
building
keeps changing.
थोड़ा छोटा लग रहा है अभी.
Okay, so let me tell you the new venture which I was on about, which I want to go, which is not
Please.
built. It's called the Creek Tower or the Dubai Tower. They haven't finished naming it. It's
Right.
going to be taller than Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world.
Yeah, I've seen that as an architecture student.
It's going to be taller
You
than
have
the
to
tallest building. What my assumption is, probably some other country somewhere is trying to make a taller building, and that's
They
just
might.
an assumption, not confirmed fact yet. But yeah, they might
So
be trying to outdo
when
that
is it supposed to be completed?
in
do you know?
like a few years. In
Very
like
brave of you to assume it's Dubai trying to construct another tallest building. It could be Abu Dhabi itself because it's like
But
this.
it's
No, I
trying
think-
to construct because I know the location. I've seen the
Yeah.
project in detail.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
okay.
an official thing. It's an official
Yeah,
thing.
it's released to the public. If you go inside Dubai Mall, there is like a whole booth of things with like a
Right.
model of that tower there.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like
So, and apparently, if you'll be at the one of the top decks in the Creek Tower, you will be able to see the entire skyline of Burj Khalifa and the downtown of Dubai. This is from what I know a little bit about the Creek Tower or whatever. But
I'll probably get updated the next month.
yeah,
they'll promise you the rainbow next time.
Right. So, tell me
I
a
think,
little. Go
yeah, I
ahead. Go
just
ahead.
wanted to say, I think moving on, I wanted to ask, like, before we began this podcast, we were talking something on the lines of third culture and, being culturally schizophrenic, like, being like, I think we were able to relate with it because, like, migrating from India to a Middle East country, from Middle East country back to US, you're trying to like adapt to different situations, trying to speak in like being inferior in each and every aspect. Like you're inferior in the way in the accent you're trying to speak, and you don't know where to fit in. You're like, Abhi, you have to fit in India, you have to fit in the Middle East, you have to fit in the States. Your experience on that, I am curious about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a bit, I wouldn't say hard or difficult. I would just say exhausting
Hmm.
because just trying to fit in, it's just, there's so many, so that you, I have some parts of my life from each and every part. Okay,
Hmm.
I have my childhood in Bombay, early like teenage life in Dubai, and now I'm in US, right? And I'm a born Gujarati. I visit Gujarat every year. So like, yeah, just trying to find the right people and fit in because there's so many things to learn from so many different types of people from different cultures, wherever they come from, the way they act, the way they behave. There's so many things to learn from them. And me, I'm just trying to know which is my zone, what is my zone, right?
Yeah.
In the
Right.
end, I found out wherever I last was probably the best place to start at. Even
Hmm.
Come
over
again? Okay.
even
I
over
didn't
here,
understand. Like,
yeah, I'll explain that further. Even over here, when I came here from Bombay, I found a person from Bombay who was from Bombay in my class, right?
yeah.
So
Right.
that was like the most comfortable for me. That's where I started. Same way when I went to US, I found some people from the Middle East. Example, Fazil, Swati, right? That's where I started. So wherever
Hmm.
I have been wherever I'm used to from the last few years of my life, that's where I'm going to start the next. If I ever have to shift again from somewhere, I'll relate to that the most. That's what I've learned from all of this.
That's actually
That's actually pretty insightful.
that's actually very thoughtful. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a hack for every other student going outside is to find people from where you came from, if you can,
Yeah,
if you
whether
can.
you came from the latest, like if you are from somewhere, born and brought up somewhere, are from a different culture, raised somewhere else, but where
Right.
have you been for the past 3 to 4 years of your life? Who did
Yeah.
you mingle with for the past 3 to 4 years of your life? Find that
Yeah.
demographic. It will work the best. You will get along with them the best.
Nah,
Not that you
that's
won't get along or like mingle with other people. You definitely will, but it's up to your comfort level, your comfort zone, because everybody's comfort zone is again different. What they want to do and versus what they would prefer.
right.
So it's subjective. You could still use this advice, but it's pretty subjective.
It
Yeah, I
makes
think
sense. It very much makes
it
sense.
it makes sense because I think this is like the best case because
Hmm.
you trying to even get somebody remotely related to with your culture, like the Middle East culture, is a chance in 1 in 100 or something. It's pretty expensive to think that way. But I have a different take on it. I think us trying to integrate on this into the society that we have adopted is equally as important as trying to find new friends coming from the similar culture.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you because here's the thing, not I never said that one thing is inferior or superior, right? I just said that there's so many things you can learn from each culture. So like going back to the culture, I can't imagine how it must have been for you as an NRI student, going back, what assumptions they had about you, what
Yeah.
misconceptions they had about you, right?
correct.
This is what you learned that how advanced they are from in so many fields that you are just lacking in because there's so many things to learn and so many things you have missed out on by
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
by being in Oman Oman,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oman.
Oman compared to growing up in India. There's so many things we have missed out on that they
Correct.
know. There's so many things we can learn from them. So it's
Yeah.
always best to like mingle with all the type of people in the end. But you need to find a comfort. You need to find a comfort person
Right.
wherever.
Correct.
I have a follow-up. I have a question to that actually. Do you think we missed out on it, or is it just because it was not integrated within the within our culture, within our society? Do you think we missed out on it, or do you think it's like a different place which will have different things we'll have to learn?
I know I use the word missed out, but I guess I would still use it because we still have no idea about what that experience is like. We will never
Right.
know what that experience is
Yeah, yeah,
like.
yeah.
And him going back and living there, he is still living there from his ideals that he has been grown up with in Dubai as an NRI, in Oman as an NRI kid.
It's okay. It's okay. We're
It's
all
okay.
same. We're all one.
It
We
really
are we are rather proud that we are identifying as a Dubai national, but it's
No, we are here to we are here to remove that stigma, right? Not
That
not
also.
promote the stigma of being from Dubai.
That
No,
also.
it's just
glad.
GCC country or Middle Eastern country. Anyway,
Right.
growing up in Middle East, you still went there with your ideals. Your ideals have not changed. In like 1 or 2 years, your ideals will not change. You need to live there longer for there to be an actual shift in your ideals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Right. Right.
for
Yeah.
you to inculcate what they have to offer, what you have to
This
learn from
makes
them, it's going to take a while.
this makes so much sense because now that you mention it, I think me and Fazil, I think even Fazil would completely relate with it. Like we grew up with this certain degree of conservatism in the way we approach couple of things, right? We didn't know a lot of things we thought we knew.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
like I mean, there are a lot of we didn't know a lot of the urban lingo, which was supposed to be urban lingo, which was very popular across the world. But we are very we are
Right.
very third world in that. We are like, "Abhi ye kya hota hai?"
Yeah. We
We
had
didn't
a we
know a
had a
lot of it.
guest. We had a guest last week, I think, where where he taught us a few lingo words from the city, from the New York City, and it was yeah, it was beautiful for us because we never knew. We felt today years old.
I think even within, if we try to consider within UAE and Oman itself, if we try to compare the lingo, I think UAE is like far more superior with the lingo part and the way their global outlook is.
Is
Ours
it
is
though?
like a little more backward.
I would like to argue on that. There is a
Yeah,
difference from where you let's just say Dubai for now, okay?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know a lot about other states in UAE, but I know about Dubai, right? So even in Dubai, which school you go to, which type of school you go to makes a difference. Now I
correct.
come from an Indian school, okay? There are
Yeah.
international schools, there are UK schools, Cambridge, or there are colleges like Dubai College. It's not a college, it's still a school. But like people from there go into Ivy Leagues, and I'm not kidding. I know people from there who have gone to Ivy Leagues, and their system, their education, their school life is completely different. So if you were to ask them, they are from Dubai, but they won't be relate. They can't relate to us in any manner. So your education board makes a difference because I'm from CBSE. I can relate to Puzzle completely. Like I
Mm.
would say, our education, our schooling was the same, even though I'm from a girls' school and he's in a co-ed school. I not a
Hmm.
girls' school, but like some schools in Dubai are still like girls' schools and boys' schools. Like they are
Correct.
separate.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there are colleges and schools which don't have uniforms, and you can just
Hmm.
go there normally. So
Hmm.
there
Yeah.
are different types of schools, and if you take different demographics from each school, you would find
Hmm.
out that there's still a difference between children from each school.
There's
That's
a culture
crazy.
shock within Dubai itself.
Because Dubai has people
Put it in
from
the
all
right
over
way.
the place. Dubai has
Right.
people from all over the place.
Have you ever
It's so
felt like
wholesome. Like everything is just so diverse within Dubai itself. That's the
right?
small picture that I
We
get.
thought we thought it was enough diverse in Muscat, but
Yeah, but it's
like
even more.
If
it's
you
it's
go to Jumeirah, Marina side, you have all the Western schools. A lot of people from UK have come and settled in Dubai. So you
Yeah.
will see a lot of Caucasians and their kids and everybody settling here. So the culture in that area is completely different. For example, let's just start about the stigma against women wearing short clothes. Okay, so in my area, I wouldn't walk around wearing like short shorts at night, but I would go to that area and wear that because mine is a predominantly Indian area, and we know the Indian stigma versus what Caucasian people find appropriate. So
Right.
Correct.
if I were to go to a beach in Jumeirah or in Marina, the Marina Beach, it's called the JBR. If I were to go there, I wouldn't mind being in a swimsuit. But if I were to go to a beach in another part of Dubai, I wouldn't be very comfortable with that. So
Correct.
there's a difference within Dubai
That's
as well.
crazy. So basically, you're asking
Yeah.
us that we should have another episode of you talking about the cultural shocks. But that's a great insight, though. Like
Yeah.
this is good that you brought this up because I'm
Correct.
probably even we were not aware about few things that you mentioned. And yeah,
Yeah.
This is
that's
I
just my
think
personal example. This is just my personal example with what I'm comfortable with.
one
right.
Because
question I had in mind was, yeah, I'm so sorry to cut you, but one question I had in mind was, see, like we as Omani Indians, we're like, for us growing up, we like me and Fazil, I remember we were like almost classmates from first grade to 12th grade.
Yeah,
Right, almost classmates. Like in various stages, we were like, yeah, we were the same class, and we gelled along, right?
yeah.
And we knew like almost a lot of our friends also were the same thing, like we just grew up together, and we we just grew up together, like we saw each other's embarrassing things, and we just still remember everything, right? Now, trying for you, it's a lot more different thing, right? What's your take on trying to maintain your past friendships? That's gonna be extremely hard, and I know how hard it is because for us maintaining Oman friendships itself was incredibly hard, despite being like same in the same neighborhood, and we still don't meet each other. And it's
Yeah.
not our fault because things have changed. Everybody moves on.
But even more so
But
now because of the lockdown and
yeah,
the pandemic. But otherwise, definitely we used to meet more often.
yeah. But for you, it's like you grew up in one neighborhood in Bombay, then you went to another neighborhood in UAE, and then now it's like you're trying to stay close with your Bombay friends. They would not want to mess you out, and then you're the UAE friends when you were in USA. So how would it
And
make a
USA
difference there? Like,
friends. And USA
yeah,
friends.
and
So
trying to maintain people friends like Fazil and Swati or whoever, right? So like, yeah,
yeah, right.
So I'm glad you asked me this because I have a lot to say on this. In fact, here's the thing. First thing, I'm an extrovert. You need to know that. I like talking to people. So
Right.
that's a main
We discovered that. We did
yeah.
discover that.
Our
fact.
before we began this podcast, this was the longest cool off time we could ever expect. The
Yeah.
longest.
It's been hitting the bar each time. We thought there
It's
was the
been reaching
longest time with other guests. It's crossed that limit today.
Happy
the.
again, and we'll never begin the podcast. Don't challenge me.
I'm glad that the casually part of the casually quotient has been increasing, and we would like
It's
to
been
keep it that
maintained.
way.
Yeah. Thanks to Kamya.
Yeah, you saying.
So answering my question, so I have a set of friends. I've had a set of friends that I grew up with in India. Oh, the best part, as you guys said that you were in the same class from first grade to sixth grade. So there's a difference between Dubai and Bombay. So in Bombay, every year from first grade to sixth grade, my classes used to be shuffled. So every year I would have new classmates with like 2 or 3 same classmates. Okay, in Dubai,
Okay.
from sixth grade to 10th grade, I had the same classmates. And this was like a new shock to me because like I'm used to, okay, I won't have to see this person the next year. No, that's not. Just kidding. I like people. I genuinely like people. But like, if you don't like a certain someone, you would probably think, okay, at least I don't have to deal with them next year.
Yeah.
But then, when you find out, this happened to me in India as well. Okay, yes, this person won't be in my class at least next year. Then you find out of the 2-3 people from the same class, that one person is again in the same class with you. You're just like,
Abhinav was that friend for me. He's like, अरे यार, ये फिर से आ गया यार. Kidding.
So
I'm
convenient of you to say I would totally begin this podcast with you, right?
Oh, dude, I'm kidding. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you can keep interrupting. That's the point of it. Anyway, so continuing, because I was never restricted as a kid from social media. I had a Facebook account since fourth grade. So I
Oh,
had I had all my school friends in India.
We were
on
2 years late. Yeah, 1 year late or something. We came in fifth grade, I think.
Yeah,
पहुंचा ही
please
नहीं ना
don't.
यहाँ तक वो यहाँ तक पहुंचा ही नहीं वो कनेक्शन कि फेसबुक भी कुछ है ऐसा मतलब
Wi-Fi ही नहीं मिला था भाई तब. Wi-Fi
connection.
only wasn't there.
Yeah.
Then like till sixth grade, like I had all my Indian friends on Facebook already. I would chat with them and stuff. And I then stopped using Facebook for like 3 years. And like eighth, ninth, I got Instagram. But like Instagram is connected to Facebook, so they would always be like, "Yo, this friend is on Instagram. Connect with them." I'm like, sure.
Right.
And so I had a set of 5 to 6 close knit friends from India, right? And I would go to India every year. So I would keep meeting them. I would like meet them because like parents are there now. What do I do? Stay at home with my relatives? No, hell no. I have friends. I'm going to meet them. So I would go meet them. So every year I would go meet them. So that continued, right? And then when I went from here to Buffalo, I had a set of friends and I would like talk to them every day. But here comes a surprising part, right? In the lockdown, since everybody has so much free time, or more like we have nothing else to do, I made a friend in Dubai who is a really close friend of mine who I haven't even talked to in my school life. He has been in my school.
We all have that one friend.
Dude, he has been in my tuition, but I barely spoke to him, and now we are like the closest friends ever. Yeah.
Correct.
And recently I connected with a friend of mine from India. He was with me in like sixth grade, and I was only in sixth grade in India for like 2 months. I never spoke to him. But now we are friends. Now I found out that he finished his schooling in India. Now he's in UC Davis, California. And now I talk to him.
Wow.
Yes. So at this point, you can also connect to people who you have lost in touch with. All you have to do, hey, weren't you in my class? Or like, hey, what's up? How have you been? It's been so long. And that's it. That's it. It's only that message, and that's enough to start a conversation. It's only
I think we were more blue-ticked with that message. Koi baat nahi, but
for our people, not you. No, for our friends.
Yeah. But
and
I think
a lot of times, like whenever I feel like I have not spoken to someone in a while and I'm just bored, what's up? Where have you been? It's been a long time. How have you been doing? And then you talk to them for a bit and then they start ghosting you. Take a hint. Yeah, it's enough for now. Like, okay, in 6 months I'll hit you up again. Like the connection is low-key still maintained until you actually have time to meet them. So
I just realized that you have so much there's so much this all these thoughts are so wholesome and thoughtful and insightful that we could start an entire Skillshare course or something.
I know. I know, right? We are like, I think we are to a certain degree we can start talking about culture shocks from now.
Right. Yeah. And
world's
I think
best culture shock podcast.
But yeah, I mean the few things that you mentioned today, especially the culture shock that you had within Dubai, those things of difference people might not realize. I think those were something, a great takeaway for a lot of audience. Yeah. But earlier in the podcast you mentioned, sorry to change the topic, but because you mentioned there's a difference between pre-med and med. Would you please educate us on that?
I want to ask you one more question. I think the like pre-med and these are words like so cool sounding for people coming from an Indian background, Indian education system. Pre-med, I'm from pre-med, I'm from med right now. It's like it's so
yeah, that's so how I'll break everything down for you. Don't you worry.
Great, let's go. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so starting from our basis, starting from our roots. In India, we have to, after 12th, you have to give NEET, and then you have MBBS. You get admission in MBBS based on NEET scores.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the basic process. And then you do 5 years of MBBS. You're a doctor. Now you need to master in something. You get a master's degree, master's doctorate. That is MD. MD is what you specialize in. So my mom is a doctor. She specializes in anesthesia.
Right.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
an
Acha.
anesthesiologist. Yes. So that's what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So I did not want to study in India to begin with because I don't have prejudice, but there is a thing where I was looking more outwards. I
Mm-hmm.
feel, based on my mom's experiences, I feel an Western degree has more of a value than an Indian degree because
Yeah.
even from India, she has to continuously give exams and get diplomas from different places to be more recognized as much as her Western colleagues, right?
Mm.
Just that degree makes a difference. So
Okay.
even in UK, the degree makes a difference. Even though you have experience, the degree makes a difference.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I was looking more outward. And also, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a doctor, which I still am not, but we'll get there when we get there, right? So going to US, it gives me more options. Versus going to India, I would be stuck in MD for 5 years. Let's say 3 years, and I realize I don't like this. I don't want to do this. What do
Correct.
I do now?
Right.
I took a gap year study, 1 year for need, and 4 years into this. What now? If I was 4 years into US doing a BSc, I would at least have a BSc degree. Now I don't even
Correct.
have a degree. I don't even want to do this. I have to start from scratch.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose US. In UK, it's a similar process. In UK, you have to give UK CAT,
Yeah.
and you will get directly. You'll be a med student, 5 years MBBS, then MD.
Mm.
Okay.
In US, you have to do bachelor's first. You would have 4 years of your bachelor's degree, which is called
Mm-hmm.
your pre-med life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
it's not a pre-med degree. There's nothing like that. You just call it pre-med because it's before medical school. So you will just gain a bachelor's degree after this in whatever you major in. You can't major in pre-med. That's
So even the degree is not called pre-med? Or what is the degree called?
it's just a bachelor's of science or bachelor of arts in whatever subject you major in. You can be any
Okay.
major and still do medical school in US. It gives you more options.
Okay.
Correct.
You can be an architecture major and still do medicine.
Right.
That's a massive difference compared to India. Yeah.
Exactly. You are not bound to anything. You have a lot of options.
There's a lot of flexibility with your choices. You're at least
And
not punishing yourself for what you chose 17 when you were 17 years, right? So
Yeah,
like it makes
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
sense.
If you
Yeah.
were if you can do your bachelor's, master's, PhD, and then also apply for med school and do a doctor, be a doctor after your PhD, yes,
Oh,
in any subject.
oh. Correct,
Correct.
correct, correct.
People
Yeah,
in US
I was
finish
watching this documentary where a person remotely related to medicine. He did some architecture something, but at the age of 35, he started med school, and right now he's one of the most reputed Cuban American brain surgeons, brain tumor surgeons. I'm like, this is amazing, and that flexibility, I wish that it existed in India,
Mm.
but I think the system itself is a very rigid system,
exactly.
because a rigid system
Right.
with the finances and how much you are trying to invest in it. It's like it's very I was watching this video of Dr. Devi Shetty. Okay. The India's most popular, I forgot which specialization he's dealing with. He's India's most specialized doctor. He mentioned India's medical studies is completely devoted to the rich people and people with the fire in their belly, the coming people coming from the middle class and the lower middle class, or for that matter even the lower classes. I'm talking about the economic bracket classes, not of the caste system. I'm talking about the economic bracket.
Right.
For them it's completely different because their choices are limited to the top 50 seats of a particular ranking university. But
Yeah.
then in US, that flexibility is extended to people, even to people coming from people being immigrants. They just have to, yeah, I think I have noticed that, but I could be wrong. I'm not well informed on this. I think
I have watched the
probably.
same video I think you're talking about. He also highlighted that point that doctors want just to become the doctor for the money. And while
Yeah,
lower income doctors want to become doctors for being a doctor. They
yeah,
have the strength and the struggle to do it, but they don't have the resources to do it, and the medical
Right.
system is so rigid catered towards the rich, because
Yeah.
again, it's a business and the capitalist environment, so it caters towards the riches. So
Yeah.
you don't get motivated doctors versus people who actually have the strive, the struggle, the hours that the effort they're willing to put in to become a doctor are people from lower economic backgrounds, but they cannot do that because of the
Yeah.
system.
Right.
It's the same I think we're talking about.
That
Yeah.
was, I think, this deserves an entire episode with another,
Exactly.
with somebody compare with one of your peers as well. I think with somebody coming from an Indian education system with an Indian MBBS. I think this is something which deserves an other episode, and we'll
Yeah, it
be
creates an entire different
surely,
opening
yeah,
for a complete different discussion.
yeah. And I think to end our podcast on a high note, um, I think to end our podcast on a high note, I just want to say thank you for coming and really
Yeah.
sharing. There are a lot of topics that we wish we discussed, but I think because this deserves a lot more thought into it. It just cannot be crunched into a 40-minute podcast.
Right.
So thank you so much for coming to our podcast and really sharing your views on being from being for being graced with so many different culture shocks and trying to explain your take on that. And I think another episode would be, we are just having another idea to bring you the next time with an Indian
Are,
MBBS
are,
student.
are you nodding
I'm
your
ready
head from inside?
Yeah.
But
Ready for the continuation of this episode, because I can say more about culture and I can speak more about the med school process in the US as well, and how
Yeah.
much difference it makes it for me, because I'm coming as an international student, and mind you, there's a difference.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the topics that we discussed today, few like most of the topics that we discussed were not complete. It was not completely medical related, which I liked personally, because I wanted to
That
reflect
was the
some
whole motive for the season 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to discuss that and you were able to address it for sure.
Yeah, we justified it very well in this
That's
episode.
Once again,
Yeah, thank you very much from my side.
once
and
again,
accepting my invitation.
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
Yeah.
and everyone who's watching.
Thanking me, I thank you.
Sorry, I didn't hear
need to
that.
thank you because you guys are thanking me so much. I need to thank you because you guys have given me a platform to be a guest on your podcast. It's your podcast. You guys are doing this. I got a platform. It's your platform. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone who's watching the video or hearing this podcast everywhere. Thank you, everyone, if you made it till the end. And we'll see you next week with a new guest. And for now, goodbye. Thank you, Kamya, and thank you everyone for watching this.